Here is a conversation skills practice 100 questions and answers. Focus on the jobs and occupations. English speaking skills for beginner learners. Let's get started. What does a doctor do?
A doctor helps sick people get better. They work in hospitals or clinics. Doctors check patients and give medicine. They also do surgeries if needed.
Where does a teacher work?
A teacher works in a school. They help students learn different subjects. Teachers give lessons in the classroom. They also help students with homework and projects.
What does a chef do?
A chef cooks food in a restaurant. They make meals for customers. Chefs use recipes and fresh ingredients. They also decide what food to serve each day.
Where does a police officer work?
A police officer works in the community. They keep people safe and enforce laws. Police officers help stop crimes and arrest criminals. They also help in emergencies like accidents.
What does a firefighter do?
A firefighter helps put out fires. They use special trucks and hoses. Firefighters also rescue people from dangerous situations. They work in a fire station when they are not on a call.
Where does a nurse work?
A nurse works in a hospital or clinic. They help doctors take care of patients. Nurses give medicine and check on patients' health. They also help patients feel comfortable.
What does an engineer do?
An engineer designs and builds things like roads, bridges, and machines. They use math and science to solve problems. Engineers work in offices or at construction sites. They make sure projects are safe and work correctly.
Where does a pilot work?
A pilot works in an airplane. They fly passengers to different cities or countries. Pilots control the plane and keep it safe. They also talk to air traffic controllers to avoid accidents.
What does a dentist do?
A dentist helps people take care of their teeth. They clean and fix teeth when there are problems. Dentists work in dental offices with special tools. They also teach people how to brush and floss properly.
Where does a farmer work?
A farmer works on a farm. They grow crops like vegetables and fruits or raise animals. Farmers use tractors and other machines to work. They sell their products to stores or markets.
What does a mechanic do?
A mechanic fixes cars and trucks. They check the engine and other parts to find problems. Mechanics work in garages or repair shops. They use tools to make the vehicles work well again.
Where does a librarian work?
A librarian works in a library. They help people find books and information. Librarians organize the books and keep everything in order. They also help with research and special events.
What does a journalist do?
A journalist writes news stories for newspapers or websites. They report on important events. Journalists often interview people and take pictures. They also work to share news quickly and accurately.
Where does a waiter work?
A waiter works in a restaurant. They take orders from customers and bring food to the table. Waiters make sure customers are happy with their meals. They also clean tables and bring the bill.
Where does a waiter work?
A waiter works in a restaurant. They take orders from customers and bring food to the table. Waiters make sure customers are happy with their meals. They also clean tables and bring the bill.
What does a construction worker do?
A construction worker builds houses, roads, and other structures. They work with tools like hammers and drills. Construction workers follow plans from engineers and architects. They often work outside in different weather.
Where does a bus driver work?
A bus driver works on a bus. They take people to different places, like school or work. Bus drivers follow a set route and schedule. They also help passengers get on and off the bus safely.
What does a baker do?
A baker makes bread, cakes, and other baked goods. They mix ingredients like flour, sugar, and eggs. Bakers work in bakeries or restaurants. They also decorate cakes and make desserts look nice.
Where does a vet work?
A vet works in an animal clinic or hospital. They help sick or injured animals. Vets treat pets like dogs, cats, and birds. They also give animals vaccines to keep them healthy.
What does a photographer do?
A photographer takes pictures for events, magazines, or websites. They use cameras and lighting equipment. Photographers often work at weddings or special events. They also edit photos on a computer.
Where does a taxi driver work?
A taxi driver works in a taxi. They drive passengers to their destination. Taxi drivers use GPS to find the best routes. They also help passengers with luggage if needed.
What does a hairdresser do?
A hairdresser cuts and styles people's hair. They work in a salon and use scissors and hair dryers. Hairdressers also give advice on hair care. They help people look their best.
Where does a plumber work?
A plumber works in homes, businesses, or construction sites. They fix pipes and install water systems. Plumbers also repair toilets and sinks. They use special tools to stop leaks and keep water flowing.
What does a scientist do?
A scientist studies the world and how things work. They conduct experiments in laboratories. Scientists help discover new medicines or technology. They write reports to share their findings with others.
Where does an artist work?
An artist works in a studio or at home. They create paintings, sculptures, or other art forms. Artists use materials like paint, clay, or pencils. They also display their work in galleries or museums.
What does an electrician do?
An electrician installs and repairs electrical systems. They work in homes, buildings, or construction sites. Electricians make sure wiring is safe and works well. They use tools like wire cutters and voltage meters.
Where does a musician work?
A musician works in a concert hall, recording studio, or on stage. They play instruments or sing for audiences. Musicians practice a lot to perform well. They may also record songs for albums or movies.
What does a carpenter do?
A carpenter builds furniture, houses, or other wooden items. They use tools like saws and hammers. Carpenters follow plans to cut and shape wood. They work in homes, construction sites, or workshops.
Where does a flight attendant work?
A flight attendant works on an airplane. They help passengers during the flight. Flight attendants serve food and drinks. They also explain safety rules and help in emergencies.
What does a lawyer do?
A lawyer helps people with legal problems. They give advice and represent clients in court. Lawyers study laws to make their case. They work in law offices or courthouses.
Where does a real estate agent work?
A real estate agent works in the property market. They help people buy or sell houses and apartments. Real estate agents show homes to clients. They also help with the paperwork for the sale.
What does a tour guide do?
A tour guide shows people around places like cities or museums. They explain the history and facts about the area. Tour guides work with tourists from different countries. They also answer questions and keep the group safe.
Where does a banker work?
A banker works in a bank. They help people with money, like opening accounts or giving loans. Bankers also advise customers on saving and investing. They use computers to check account balances and payments.
What does an architect do?
An architect designs buildings like houses, offices, or schools. They make detailed plans for construction workers to follow. Architects use computers to create models of their designs. They also visit construction sites to check the progress.
Where does a cleaner work?
A cleaner works in homes, offices, or public buildings. They clean rooms, sweep floors, and take out trash. Cleaners also dust furniture and wash windows. They keep the spaces tidy and organized.
What does a graphic designer do?
A graphic designer creates logos, posters, or advertisements. They use software to make their designs. Graphic designers work in offices or from home. They help businesses create a professional look.
Where does a security guard work?
A security guard works in places like malls, banks, or events. They make sure people and property are safe. Security guards watch security cameras and check visitors. They also respond if there is any trouble.
What does a fashion designer do?
A fashion designer creates clothes and accessories. They sketch designs and choose fabrics. Fashion designers work for clothing brands or start their own. They also attend fashion shows to display their collections.
Where does an actor work?
An actor works in theaters, movie sets, or TV studios. They perform in plays, films, or television shows. Actors memorize scripts and practice their lines. They also work with directors to improve their performances.
What does a translator do?
A translator changes written text from one language to another. They work with books, documents, or websites. Translators make sure the meaning stays the same in both languages. They often work for companies or as freelancers.
Where does a web developer work?
A web developer works for companies or as a freelancer. They design and create websites. Web developers use coding languages like HTML and CSS. They make sure the website looks good and works properly.
What does a social worker do?
A social worker helps people who have problems in their lives. They work with families, children, and individuals. Social workers connect people with the resources they need. They often visit homes and schools to offer support.
Where does a cashier work?
A cashier works in a store or supermarket. They help customers pay for their items. Cashiers use a register to scan products and give change. They also answer questions and bag the items.
What does a judge do?
A judge works in a courtroom. They make decisions in legal cases. Judges listen to both sides and decide what is fair. They also make sure everyone follows the law.
Where does a receptionist work?
A receptionist works at the front desk of a business or hotel. They greet visitors and answer phone calls. Receptionists help people find information or direct them to the right person. They also manage appointments and schedules.
What does a delivery driver do?
A delivery driver transports goods to customers. They drive vans or trucks to bring packages to homes or businesses. Delivery drivers check the address and hand over the items. They also make sure deliveries are on time.
Where does a scientist work?
A scientist works in laboratories, research centers, or universities. They study nature, medicine, or technology. Scientists run experiments to learn new things. They also write reports about their discoveries.
What does a software developer do?
A software developer writes computer programs and apps. They use coding languages like Python or Java. Software developers work for companies or on freelance projects. They make sure the programs run smoothly and fix any bugs.
Where does a florist work?
A florist works in a flower shop. They arrange flowers for events like weddings or birthdays. Florists also sell plants and bouquets to customers. They make sure the flowers stay fresh and beautiful.
What does a pharmacist do?
A pharmacist gives people the medicine their doctor prescribes. They work in a pharmacy or hospital. Pharmacists check that the medicine is correct and explain how to take it. They also give advice on health and wellness.
Where does a paramedic work?
A paramedic works in an ambulance. They help people in emergencies before they get to the hospital. Paramedics give first aid and keep patients stable. They also work with doctors and nurses in emergency situations.
What does a makeup artist do?
A makeup artist applies makeup for special events or films. They work in salons or on movie sets. Makeup artists use brushes, colors, and products to create different looks. They help actors or clients look their best.
Where does a tailor work?
A tailor works in a shop or studio. They make and repair clothes like suits or dresses. Tailors measure clients and sew fabric to fit perfectly. They also fix zippers and adjust clothing sizes.
What does a gardener do?
A gardener takes care of plants, flowers, and trees. They work in gardens, parks, or greenhouses. Gardeners plant seeds, water flowers, and trim bushes. They also remove weeds and keep the area looking nice.
Where does a data analyst work?
A data analyst works in offices for companies or organizations. They study data to find trends and patterns. Data analysts use software to analyze information. They help businesses make decisions based on the data.
What does a travel agent do?
A travel agent helps people plan their vacations or business trips. They book flights, hotels, and tours. Travel agents also give advice on places to visit. They work in offices or online to help customers.
Where does a photographer work?
A photographer works in studios, outdoors, or at events. They take pictures for weddings, magazines, or advertisements. Photographers use different cameras and lenses. They also edit the photos on a computer to improve them.
What does a psychologist do?
A psychologist helps people understand their feelings and thoughts. They talk with clients about their problems. Psychologists work in offices, schools, or hospitals. They help people feel better and find solutions to their issues.
Where does a personal trainer work?
A personal trainer works in gyms, fitness centers, or outdoors. They help people exercise and stay healthy. Personal trainers create workout plans for their clients. They also give advice on nutrition and fitness goals.
What does a geologist do?
A geologist studies rocks, minerals, and the earth. They work in research centers or in the field. Geologists help discover natural resources like oil or metals. They also study how the earth has changed over time.
Where does an accountant work?
An accountant works in an office or for a company. They manage money and help with taxes. Accountants keep track of income and expenses. They also help businesses plan their budgets and financial goals.
What does a zoologist do?
A zoologist studies animals and their behavior. They work in zoos, research centers, or the wild. Zoologists help protect endangered species. They also write reports and teach others about animals.
Where does a bartender work?
A bartender works in bars, restaurants, or hotels. They make and serve drinks to customers. Bartenders also mix cocktails and recommend beverages. They make sure the bar is clean and stocked with supplies.
What does a nutritionist do?
A nutritionist helps people eat healthy food. They give advice on what to eat and how much. Nutritionists work in hospitals, schools, or fitness centers. They also create meal plans for their clients.
Where does a photographer work?
A photographer works in studios, outdoor locations, or at events. They take pictures of people, places, or products. Photographers use different cameras and equipment to capture the best shots. They also edit photos before delivering them to clients.
What does an editor do?
An editor checks and improves written work like books or articles. They correct mistakes in spelling, grammar, and style. Editors work for magazines, publishing houses, or websites. They help make the text clear and interesting.
Where does a DJ work?
A DJ works at parties, nightclubs, or radio stations. They play music for people to dance or listen to. DJs mix songs and create a fun atmosphere. They also choose the right music for the event.
What does an event planner do?
An event planner organizes parties, weddings, or business meetings. They work with clients to arrange all the details. Event planners book venues, hire catering, and manage schedules. They make sure everything runs smoothly on the event day.
Where does a dog walker work?
A dog walker works outdoors, in parks, or neighborhoods. They take care of dogs by walking them and giving them exercise. Dog walkers often work for people who are busy or away. They also ensure the dogs are safe and happy.
What does a game developer do?
A game developer creates video games for computers, consoles, or phones. They design characters, levels, and challenges. Game developers use coding languages and graphics software. They test the game to make sure it's fun and works well.
Where does a yoga instructor work?
A yoga instructor works in studios, gyms, or outdoor spaces. They teach yoga classes to help people relax and stay fit. Yoga instructors demonstrate poses and breathing techniques. They also help students improve flexibility and strength.
What does a historian do?
A historian studies the past and writes about important events. They work in universities, museums, or libraries. Historians read old documents and research to understand history better. They also teach students and share their knowledge with the public.
Where does a chef work?
A chef works in a restaurant, hotel, or catering company. They prepare meals for customers and create new dishes. Chefs work with fresh ingredients and follow recipes. They also manage the kitchen staff and ensure food is cooked properly.
What does a landscape designer do?
A landscape designer creates outdoor spaces like gardens and parks. They plan where to put plants, trees, and paths. Landscape designers work with clients to make the area beautiful. They also choose the best plants for the climate and soil.
Where does a hotel manager work?
A hotel manager works in a hotel. They make sure guests are happy and everything runs smoothly. Hotel managers oversee staff, check rooms, and handle reservations. They also solve any problems guests might have.
What does a video editor do?
A video editor works with videos to cut and arrange scenes. They make sure the video tells a story clearly. Video editors use software to add effects, music, and transitions. They work for film studios, TV channels, or online creators.
Where does a delivery driver work?
A delivery driver works on the road, delivering packages or food. They use vans or bikes to take items to customers' homes. Delivery drivers follow a route and make sure deliveries are on time. They also check that the right packages go to the right address.
What does a speech therapist do?
A speech therapist helps people with speaking or communication problems. They work with children and adults who have difficulty speaking clearly. Speech therapists give exercises to improve speech. They work in schools, hospitals, or clinics.
Where does an interior designer work?
An interior designer works in homes, offices, or buildings. They help choose colors, furniture, and decorations for a space. Interior designers create designs to make rooms look beautiful and functional. They also work with clients to understand their style.
What does a babysitter do?
A babysitter takes care of children while their parents are away. They play with the kids, prepare food, and make sure they are safe. Babysitters work in homes for a few hours or the whole day. They also help children with their homework or put them to bed.
Where does a museum curator work?
A museum curator works in a museum. They organize exhibits and take care of art or historical objects. Museum curators choose what to display and write information for visitors. They also work with other museums to share collections.
What does a copywriter do?
A copywriter writes advertisements and promotional materials. They create content for websites, brochures, and social media. Copywriters work for marketing agencies or companies. Their goal is to make the product or service sound interesting to customers.
Where does a speech therapist work?
A speech therapist works in schools, hospitals, or private clinics. They help people who have trouble speaking or understanding language. Speech therapists create programs to improve communication. They also work with parents and teachers to support children's speech development.
What does a financial advisor do?
A financial advisor helps people manage their money. They give advice on saving, investing, and planning for the future. Financial advisors work for banks or as independent consultants. They help clients reach their financial goals.
Where does a personal assistant work?
A personal assistant works in offices, businesses, or for individuals. They help their boss by managing schedules, answering calls, and arranging meetings. Personal assistants also handle emails and keep things organized. They make sure their boss stays on track.
What does an economist do?
An economist studies how money, goods, and services move in a country. They work for governments, universities, or companies. Economists analyze data to understand economic trends. They help make decisions about taxes, jobs, and trade.
Where does a graphic designer work?
A graphic designer works in offices, advertising agencies, or from home. They create visual designs for logos, websites, and advertisements. Graphic designers use software like Photoshop and Illustrator. They help businesses attract customers with eye-catching designs.
What does a park ranger do?
A park ranger takes care of parks and natural areas. They protect wildlife and help visitors enjoy the park safely. Park rangers give tours and teach people about nature. They also make sure visitors follow park rules.
Where does a music producer work?
A music producer works in recording studios. They help artists record songs and improve the sound. Music producers choose the instruments, effects, and arrangements. They also work with singers and musicians to create the best music.
What does a choreographer do?
A choreographer creates dance routines for performances. They work with dancers in theaters, TV shows, or music videos. Choreographers teach the steps and moves to the dancers. They make sure the performance looks smooth and artistic.
Where does a magazine editor work?
A magazine editor works in an office or from home. They choose and organize articles for the magazine. Magazine editors check the writing for mistakes and add photos. They also work with writers, photographers, and designers.
What does a market researcher do?
A market researcher studies what people want to buy. They ask questions through surveys or interviews. Market researchers help companies understand their customers. They analyze data to improve products or marketing strategies.
Where does a lifeguard work?
A lifeguard works at swimming pools, beaches, or water parks. They watch over swimmers to make sure they are safe. Lifeguards also rescue people who are in danger in the water. They teach swimming safety and first aid.
What does a customer service representative do?
A customer service representative helps customers with problems or questions. They work in call centers or online chat rooms. Customer service representatives solve issues like returns or payment problems. They make sure customers are happy with the service.
Where does an IT technician work?
An IT technician works in offices or for companies. They fix computers, install software, and solve technical issues. IT technicians make sure that technology works properly. They also help employees when they have computer problems.
What does a librarian do?
A librarian takes care of books and helps people find information. They work in libraries, schools, or universities. Librarians organize books, research materials, and databases. They also help visitors find what they need.
Where does an air traffic controller work?
An air traffic controller works in airports or control towers. They guide planes during takeoff and landing. Air traffic controllers make sure planes stay safe and avoid collisions. They use radar and radios to communicate with pilots.
What does a software tester do?
A software tester checks programs for mistakes or bugs. They work for tech companies or software development teams. Software testers use the program and look for any problems. They help make sure the software works well before it's released.
Where does a pastry chef work?
A pastry chef works in bakeries, restaurants, or hotels. They create desserts like cakes, cookies, and pastries. Pastry chefs use special techniques to make their sweets delicious. They also design beautiful decorations for special occasions.
What does an airline pilot do?
An airline pilot flies airplanes to different cities or countries. They check the weather and flight plan before taking off. Airline pilots communicate with air traffic control to keep the flight safe. They also make sure passengers have a smooth flight.